welcome to the first episode of the Florida Retirement Podcast. I'm Casey, and I'm here with your host, Murrell Winter, financial planning specialist and founder of Swan Retirement Strategies, based right here in Sarasota, Florida. Murrell, how you doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I am so excited to kick off this show with you and to talk all things retirement, from how to not outlive your money to creating the most guaranteed income possible. We are going to talk about it all here on the Florida Retirement Podcast. So whether you're preparing to retire, you're already retired, or you just want to get smarter about your financial future, this podcast is for you. You're in the right place.
Absolutely.
And you can connect with us anytime. SwanStrategies.com is where to find us, or all the info you need is always posted in our show notes conveniently for you. So Merl, my friend, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You ready to talk retirement with me?
That's right. 2025 is going to be a great year.
Let's go. All right. Well, let's dive in. Like I said, we're going to get into all things retirement on this show. But before we do that, I'd love our listener to really get to know you and how you came to do what you do. So can you tell us what inspired you to become a financial advisor in the first place and what really drew you to this industry?
You got it. So growing up, I always knew I was great at numbers. So that was my favorite subject. I just always was great with numbers. And so what I did was, growing up, my father was very focused on finances. So he was really one of the family members that was always teaching us lessons about finance. And so he one day brought us into town to where we could open up a bank account. And so I was very young. I grew up in a small town. So we went to our local bank and I walked in, and you know, these banks, some of them are massive, right? So you kind of get intimidated and you're like, my goodness, this is a big place. The lights were beautiful. It smelled great in there. It was fresh. And so I knew they were talking business, right? The bank there was ready to go. So walked in with my $100 bill, walked up to one of the account specialists. You know, back then $100 was a lot. So I walked up.
Stop. You were living large.
I know. It was very tempting to stop by this store first. But so I went in, handed the lady my $100 bill, told her that I wanted to open up an account. She went through all this paperwork. I signed at the bottom and walked out there with a packet of papers and information for me to read over. And I was very excited. You know, it was at first intimidating, but then after that, I was excited. You know, I was like, there's something important here to this world of finance.
For sure.
And then, you know, going through college and really meeting new people, I found out, you know, I would think that everyone would talk about finance, you know, and unfortunately here in America, you have three topics that are not well talked about. Number one, you're never supposed to talk about finance. Number two, you're not supposed to talk about politics. And number three, you're never supposed to talk about religion. So I was so surprised by this because, you know, what three topics are the most important to really talk about? It's really those three, right? You need to understand where you're at. And so with the finance story, I was like, well, surely, you know, the schools are going to teach it because it's very important, but all throughout school, you're never taught personal finance. Other than that, you would go home and you would be like, hey, you know, mom and dad, let's talk about finance, or, you know, other family members, let's talk about it. But no one really wants to talk about it because maybe one, they're not confident in it, or number two, they don't want to give you bad advice. So it's really just hush hush. And so even though in the world where businesses rise and fall about their finances, countries, they have good times or bad times based on their finances, family members and families all together are going to rise and fall based on their knowledge about finance. I just found it to be extremely concerning on why America doesn't talk more about personal finance. So that caused me to have a passion and to say, hey, you know what? We should really start this discussion about, you know, straightforward information, truthful and honest education for people to understand about finance and about retirement planning. Because anytime there's a big event in someone's life, they need to understand what their finances are all about.
For sure. Well, I love that. I love hearing people's origin stories. I love hearing their why. And it sounds like this was your calling from an early age. So I love that. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yep, you got it. And also, whenever, it's not that most people find their passion right out of college, but I was very fortunate and blessed to be able to come right out of my master's program. You know, I did a bachelor's in finance, a master's in finance. And right after my master's, I was like, this is what I want to do. You know, I want to talk with people about their finance, see what their pain points are and how we can fix that, because I love solving problems. So I consider myself very lucky to find this at an early age. And, you know, God willing, I'll be doing this for 20, 30, 40 years. So we'll see.
Amazing. Well, then you founded your own company, Swan Retirement Strategies, which I know you can help with so many things when it comes to financial and retirement planning there. So tell me about your business, Merl, and the message behind it and what you can help your clients with.
Absolutely. So Swan Retirement Strategies, just like it sounds like. So Swan is actually an acronym. So Swan, SWAN, stands for sleep well at night. So that's what we want for all of our clients, right?
Love that.
We want them to enjoy retirement and be able to sleep well at night, knowing that their finances are in good order. Retirement planning, that part of the title is all about, people want to put the numbers down on a page and see, hey, what does my income look like? What do my expenses look like? Do I have a net worth that can provide that lifestyle for me in retirement? So we do investment planning, we do financial planning, income planning, every type of planning we can do, we want to be well prepared.
Okay, I love that. Sounds like you guys can truly do a little bit of it all.
Yes.
Now, Merl, I know you know this all too well, but sometimes people may have certain reservations when it comes to choosing to use a financial advisor or not.
Yep.
It can be a really daunting decision for someone to make. So
Yes.
What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions out there that people have about working with a financial advisor?
Yep. Casey, you are absolutely right. So in the financial industry, you are either going to find good people or bad people. And unfortunately, this industry, even though it's very regulated, you still have a lot of bad characters out there. So unfortunately, we have a lot of people that come to our office and they're like, hey, I experienced this bad thing with my past advisor. How can we fix this? And then that's our job, is to try to fix what a bad advisor had done in the past. So Casey, what I'd like to say is that there are 8 different negatives or things to be concerned about when it comes to shopping around or finding a financial planner. So One of the negatives is that and I'm going to just go through the titles and then I'll kind of explain each of them. So number 1 is transactional relationship. Number 2 is avoiding tax discussions. Number 3, ignoring estate planning. Number 4, complexity and confusion. Number 5, licensing and investment limitations. Number 6, big firms aren't always the best. Number 7, old advisors are not always the best. Number 8, relying solely on 401ks or company retirement accounts. And so Casey, what I like to say is, when you are a financial advisor, you should be, 1, working in the client's best interest. But number 2, I believe working in the client's best interest means that you're going to be there for their lifetime, maybe even generations after them. And so the number 1 being transactional relationship. If you're out there listening to this or watching this and finding that, your advisor really just maybe met with you once and sold you on this idea and then never talks with you again. And if you have any uncertainty, you might understand that you're in a transactional relationship. If you are working with someone that every year wants to review your account or even quarterly wants to review your account, you might be in the right team, that you're knowing that your advisor is there for you and not just a transactional advisor. Number 2, avoiding tax discussions. So like I talked about before, the financial industry is very regulated, and honestly, I'm not a CPA, I'm not a tax advisor, but as a financial advisor and as a fiduciary, if there's any questions that I can answer for my clients when they have a simple question about taxes, heck, I'm going to tell them, hey, in the IRS code, this is where it's saying that, this is the answer that you're looking for, right? As a financial advisor, I do believe that we need to know what we're doing when it comes to taxes, right? Unfortunately, there's a lot of advisors out there that won't have that discussion. They won't touch it with a 10-foot pole, and they'll say, hey, that's not my job. You need to go talk with your CPA, right? And as much as I work with my client CPAs to make sure that we're doing the right thing, I just want people to caution that if their advisor's like, hey, I'm not going to answer your quick, simple question, then maybe they're not the right fit for you. Number 3, anything, Casey? You got anything to add to this? I know I'm kind of going through this.
You're doing great. Keep it going.
All right. Number 3 is ignoring estate planning. So, if my job is to grow my client's net worth over their lifetime or to provide them that dream financial plan and their retirement, estate planning is very important, because if we grow your net worth and then all of a sudden you don't have an estate plan that's going to dictate on how you want those assets to go to your beneficiaries, then that could be a disaster, right? So there's advisors out there that don't provide the tax or the estate planning discussion enough. And that's what I want to implement for my clients, is say, hey, you might need a trust. You might need a revocable living trust for your situation, because you don't want your beneficiaries to go through probate. A lot of advisors won't even give a simple conversation like that. Number 4, complexity and confusion. What I mean by that is, my understanding is the government and the financial industry, two of their biggest jobs, or one of their biggest jobs, is to confuse the American public, right? The tax code here in the United States is 6,781 pages.
Ooh, light reading.
That's right. And it'll take you several times to go through it because you're going to fall asleep all the time,
Oh, yeah.
So that's how complex the financial system here is in the United States. So my job is to make things simple and easy for people to understand about their retirement and their finances. Number 5, licensing and investment limitations. So I had a prospective client that came in a month or two ago, and he, just like one of those common conversations, hey, my advisor told me to get this and it's been a total flop. How can we fix this? And why did he put me into this? Well, my answer was pretty simple. Looking at the account that he was recommended, that was because that advisor only has a specific license that really sells and pushes people into that specific product. And so I had to explain to the client that many financial advisors are different, right? Some of them only have one license, but many have 2, 3, 4 licenses. So you want to make sure that who you're working with has multiple licenses so we can recommend the right products or solutions for you and your situation. So that was number 5. Number 6, big firms aren't always better. So a lot of clients, they'll come to me and they'll say that they felt just like a number at their old firm, right? That they weren't really being taken care of, that they didn't have that relationship with whoever they were working with, or maybe even, on the next topic or the next number is going to be people retiring. So that's what happens at these big firms. You might not hear from them. You might not have a personal relationship. So big firms aren't always better. Number 7, older advisors are not always better. So what I mean by that is the average age of financial advisors here in the United States is 56 years old. So guess what might happen in the next 5 to 10 years with them? When you're in the middle of your retirement and you need them the most, they're going to be saying, hey, I'm gone. I'm on a beach somewhere or taking a cruise around the world, right? So for me, I want to be there all day, every day for my clients, and I'm not going anywhere. So that was number 7. Number 8 is relying on solely the 401k plan or your employer-sponsored plan. So whoever you work through during your career, you need to know that sometimes those aren't the best options to stay with. And many of them have hidden fees that you don't even know about. We can always look through those with a fee x-ray and figure out what you're actually paying in fees inside of those accounts. The other thing about 401k plans is that they really offer you a short menu of different strategies, different investments. And if you don't want those options or strategies, that's it. You're kind of, you don't have any other options to choose from. So with us, we work through Charles Schwab. They have thousands of investment options to choose from. And so if you're stuck in a 401k plan where you don't really have these options to choose from, that you might not be in the best financial situation for the future. The other thing is, if a crash happens, so if the market crashes and your 401k quickly becomes a 201k, meaning that your 401k plan, your investment account that you have your life savings in, if a crash happens, you might not be able to make a quick decision, or you might have to talk with a 1-800 number to try to sell your investments, and all of a sudden you've missed and your account has dropped significantly. So that's where working with an advisor like myself, where we can quickly hop on a phone call with you and go to Charles Schwab, is a great way to go.
Okay, well, that was a great list. And obviously, all of those are reasons why someone may be a little bit skeptical to work with a financial advisor. But I wanted to ask you, Merl, about this study that I read from Northwestern Mutual. It found that 71% of U.S. adults admit that their financial planning needs improvement.
Right.
Yet only 29% of Americans actually work with a financial advisor. But as we have said, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. It's a very personal decision. So let me ask you this, on the opposite side of what we just talked about, when it comes to finding your right fit, what are the most important qualities that someone should be looking for in an advisor?
Yep. So 1, you want to make sure that they're honest and transparent. So everything that they do, they need to be able to answer any questions that you have. And if you feel uneasy about it, then it might not be the best relationship. You might have to try someone else out or say, hey, I really need to know these details. And if you won't provide it, then I'm not going to move forward. Right. And so other qualities of a good advisor would really just be that you have communication with them often, and you know that your financial plan is in place, that your retirement plan is well put together, that your estate plan is well put together, that your tax situation is known. It's not just this mystery, that you've been answered about all those different topics, because that's what we're here to do, is to really guide our clients into knowledge and confidence about retirement.
I love it. All right. Well, as we have said, choosing a financial advisor, it's an incredibly personal decision and one that should not be taken lightly. So, Merl, let's say someone is ready to take that leap. They want to start the retirement planning process. How can they get in touch with you?
Yep, absolutely. So at the bottom of this video or audio, you're going to see in the description a link, a calendar link that where you can click on and you can schedule a meeting with myself or our team. It's going to be, it's going to show our availability. So all you had to do is find a time and date that works for you and click it and get ready to meet with us. Number two, if you simply search Swan Retirement Strategies in Google, you will find a little side section that will show our company, what we're about, what we offer, and then many of our client reviews. So many reviews from our clients, as of right now, they're all 5 stars, and that's what we want to continue doing is provide 5-star service to all of our clients. That's number 2 is you can go to Google, you can do your due diligence there, and then you can go to our website and schedule a meeting. And then number 3 is you could actually just call our office and you could talk with myself or anybody on our team at 941-271-9005.
All right. Well, this has all been incredible information. Thank you so much, Merl. And thank you so much for listening to the Florida Retirement Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode with us. And we will see you next time. Thanks, Merl.
That's right. You got it.
We are an independent financial services firm helping individuals create retirement strategies using a variety of financial and insurance products to custom suit their needs and objectives. Investment advisory services offered through Second Half Partners, LLC, and SEC registered investment advisor number 163454. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Second Half Partners, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your attorney, accountant, and/or tax advisor for advice concerning your particular circumstances. Annuity guarantees rely solely on financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Murrell Winter, FL NPN 19081242.